What's going on, everybody? I am the FT Guru, bringing to you guys an NFL Week 3 Monday video for the two games tonight. We saw 2 Monday games last week. We get it again this week. They're only staggered by an hour, which, a lot of people complain about that. It's justified because it doesn't really make much sense. I don't know. I like having the back-to-back games, but nonetheless, 2 games is always better than 1. The games look a little bit better this week than last week. We got some value out there. There's not really any injuries other than, Joe Burrow is expected to give it a go. I expect him to play. But other than that, Puka is also questionable but expected to play. So nothing to really worry about here. As usual, I'm going to give you guys one play for each position using FanDuel salaries. Just give this video a like and make sure you are subscribed for all future videos. Hopefully these plays help you out tonight. I'm playing the Monday main slate. Obviously, will show up on my website under the main slate just so all members don't have to pay again. Also playing the single game slate for the Rams and Bengals game at 8:15 Eastern. That will show up under Monday Night Football on my website. And then we have a weird MLB 3-game main slate starting at 9:38 Eastern tonight. All of the games are later games. I kind of don't mind that. It lets us focus on NFL for the 2 slates that we're playing, and then we can shift our focus over to MLB. But we got some action tonight. Going down to the end of the MLB regular season. Can't wait for the playoffs to start. I'm already getting kind of sick of the MLB regular season that usually happens in September. So for quarterback, I'm looking at Jalen Hurts. He's projected, by a wide margin to be the highest scoring player on tonight's slate. 2 rushing touchdowns last week. Whenever they get anywhere from the, 3-yard line and in, they usually just push him up the middle, and it works, 11 times out of 10. I never see a Hurts QB sneak not work on the goal line. So he's always in contention for that. He did it twice last week. He can also scramble too. I expect him to pass a little bit better than he has in the first 2 games. I expect him to get over 200 passing yards. This Bucs defense hasn't ranked well against passing so far this season. 9,000 is a premium price. He's by far the most expensive quarterback. But I do like spending up on Hurts. For GPP to go cheaper, I'm probably skipping Joe Burrow at 7,300. Kind of banged up. Hasn't looked good to start the year. I'm looking at probably Baker or Stafford. Not sure what I'm doing yet. But we'll have to see what happens later on. I do like Jalen Hurts the most, though, at quarterback. For running back, I like Joe Mixon, especially if we're fading Joe Burrow. Mixon looks like a good play at 7,400. He's done well the first 2 weeks. Not scoring as much as he should, but that's just because he hasn't found the end zone. Touchdowns come and go. It's more of a lucky thing. His usage has been fine. They've been down, so he hasn't gotten as many handoffs. 13 rushes for, over 55 yards in both games. He's been a part of the passing game. Those are good games. If he can get a touchdown in there tonight, we can expect him to get over 15 fantasy points. Expect this game to be closer against the Rams. They'll have a better chance of establishing the run. They weren't really able to establish the run in the first 2 games of the season just because of how poorly they played. I'm still a believer in the Bengals. They are still a Super Bowl caliber team, and I expect them to bounce back this week against the Rams. Wide receiver, one of the early stories of this season is Puka Nacua filling in for Cooper Kupp. He's looked like Cooper Kupp. He's actually looked better than Cooper Kupp. The guy has 35 targets in 2 games. I mean, I don't even understand. That's just absurd. I couldn't even, if I wanted to load up a player's stats on Madden, I couldn't even target him 20 times. That's insane. He's questionable, like I said earlier, but he's expected to play. 7,500 is a bit pricey on him. You just can't expect him to get double-digit catches every game. His prop line is 6.5 receptions. A lot of gambling Twitter was all over his 5.5 early this morning, and it got bumped up by a reception really quick to 6.5, which makes it a little sketchier. Just thought I would talk about him a little bit. He's not even the guy I'm putting in this video. I like Chris Godwin at $1,000 cheaper. This this game looks like the Bucs are going to be down. They're 5-point underdogs. They're at home. I expect them to have to pass the ball. Baker Mayfield's actually looked a lot better than anticipated from everyone this year. I think Godwin's fine. Kind of like Joe Mixon. He's had 2 good games to start the year. Just hasn't found the end zone yet. He could find the end zone at any given moment. We've seen in the first 2 games, Baker has targeted Godwin multiple times in the end zone. They just haven't been able to connect. He's still a top target. Him and Mike Evans, obviously, they really have no one else to look at. I expect them to be passing a lot tonight, as the Eagles should get the lead in this game. The Eagles also, quite a black and white scenario for their defense to start the year. They are almost dead last against the pass, and they are first against the rush. That bodes well for Baker Mayfield and these receivers. Godwin at 6,500, always a good play when Chris Godwin finds himself under $7,000. For tight end, we don't really have an option tonight. If you wanted to go Higbee to get cheap, you could. He's still, a tight end that they target. 7 targets last week, can always find the end zone. I just would rather spend $500 more and go to Dallas Goedert. He had a terrible first week, only 1 target. They made it a statement. They made a statement saying to get Goedert involved more in the second game, and they did. 7 targets, 6 catches, just didn't get anywhere, 22 yards. I expect better things out of Dallas Goedert. Like any other tight end, he's a threat to score whenever they're in the red zone. The 7 targets is, makes me feel good going into this week, as Jalen Hurts realized that he completely shut out his tight end in week 1 and wanted to make him more part of the game plan. Just didn't really find many receiving yards. I do like him as the best tight end on tonight's slate. There's not much competition. I think the only realistic rosterable guys are Goddard and Tyler Higbee. Irv Smith, the starter for the Bengals, is doubtful. They say Drew Sample should get all of the snaps at tight end, but who knows with Drew Sample. He could end up catching a random touchdown. If you wanted to get crazy and, have low ownership on a 2-game slate, you could go with Sample. I'm probably not doing it. We'll see what happens. But you never know. Whenever there's a tight end starting and seeing, basically every down on the field, anything can happen. But I'm mainly looking towards Dallas Goedert for tonight's slate. Then for defense, we can go to the Eagles. They're just the best option tonight. If you look over on Prize Picks, I do like using Prize Picks fantasy props to, compare their projections to salaries on FanDuel. I think it's the best way to find value. If you look at the fantasy defensive props on on Prize Picks, the Bucs, Rams, and Bengals are all at 4.5 fantasy. And then if you look at the Eagles, they're at 7 fantasy. So the Eagles are projected 2.5 more fantasy points than all the other defenses tonight, and they're not that much more expensive. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. Baker can turn it over. It's definitely the best spot out of any of these teams on tonight's slate. But again, a lot of the time you can just you can pick a defense with a blindfold on, and it doesn't end up mattering. But I do like the Eagles defense to round out our plays for tonight's slate. Again, you can catch my FanDuel hybrid, cash, and GPP main slate lineups tonight on my website. Also playing the single game slate and then that weird late MLB main slate. Give this video a like, guys. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, I am the FT Guru, and I'm signing off. See you.